What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a cheap electric e-brake conversion on this thing. Um, I'm doing this mainly because when I first got the truck, I had it parked in my driveway, which is pretty slanted, and I was running it to burp the coolant or something when I had the old 350 in it, and then as I'm working on it, the e-brake decided just to let go, and the truck started rolling down the driveway. Luckily, nobody was coming down the street, so I kind of just ran into the curb behind my house and stopped. But ever since then, I've never trusted the e-brake on this thing. And I looked at the e-stop company, but they're wanting like $500 to $700 for their kit. And this kit here, I have $120 in it. There's a guy that I got this idea from on YouTube. His channel is follow the build, I think it is. He did it on a fastback Mustang that he's building. So I just basically took his idea and I'm going to put it on the truck. So let me show you what we're working with here. All right, so here's what we're working with. We have the actuator, which we have two of these. One of these will go on each cable. A roll of wire, a small switch that we will mount under the dash where it's hidden. That'll activate the brake. And then this is it's a controller that's adjustable, and it shuts off basically when you hit a certain amount of amperage it shuts off. So the adjustment's over here, and you just set it to whenever it gets the cable tight enough where it's holding the truck, you just set it that way. And if it's not tight enough, you just adjust it a little bit more and it'll pull it tighter. So basically when it hits a certain amount of amperage, it shuts it off and it just holds it. So we'll be wiring this in, and then we have just a box to put it in, which I think I have to trim the edges to fit it, but I got to figure out where I'm going to put all that. I don't really have any more room under my dash for more electronics, so I may mount it under the truck somewhere on the frame. I don't know yet. Maybe behind the seat. I'll figure it out. But I think tonight I'm just going to get the actuators in and hooked up to the cables and bolted to the frame, and then probably do the wiring tomorrow. So let me get the truck up in the air on the lift and we'll get started. All right, so here's what I think I'm going to end up doing. I have all the original cables pulled off. I think what I'm going to do is mount this basically up here on this cross member across the frame where it's sitting flat. Stay for 5 seconds. And then I took the other bracket and I mounted it onto here, which once it's fully extended, it'll probably be way up here. But what I think I'm going to do is drill, because I want this to pull straight. I think I'm going to end up drilling a new hole, like basically two sets of holes in this actuator. And then when it's mounted, it will have two bolts in it up here, which will keep that bracket straight, which will pull on the cable straight just like that. And it'll be tucked up on the frame out of the way. It overhangs just enough. Well, it also pivots, but it overhangs just enough where that bracket can pull on it, and then it keeps the cable parallel. So I'm going to end up drilling two holes here, another hole on this bracket, and then I'll run some grade 8 bolts through that so it's nice and strong. And then I'll drill some hole or whatever it needs up here for that one. So I'm going to start doing that now. Alright, so here's what we got so far. With the actuator mounted, I'm going to put one more bolt here. I think it's going to pull on that and bend it or whatever. This, I got the holes drilled. It's going to go like that, but the cord is that long. So I'm going to cut this cable, shorten it up where it needs to be. So it's fully extended with it that long. So looks like I need to take about 1.5 inches out of it. But I'll get that shortened up. I'm gonna go get some longer grade 8 bolts. I'll get that put on there so that can't pivot when it pulls it. And then we're just gonna do the other side and then we'll wire it up. Alright, so don't mind my battery cables. I'm gonna not redo it, but I'm gonna clean it up and mount all that stuff to look better once I do the QA1, and I gotta remove the bed from the truck. But this is what we came up with. I'm not a super huge fan with how high it's mounted, but didn't really have anywhere else to mount it. I'll also figure that out once the bed is pulled off and I can easily get in here and figure out a better mounting spot for it. But it's mounted to that cross member up there, and then it's hooked to the cable. I didn't really want it to have an angle like that. Not that it's gonna hurt anything. I just figured it looked nicer. But that's temporary. It's in there for now. It's gonna work and do what I need it to do. And then of course the other side, I ended up, instead of getting bolts, I ended up getting a couple more pins, since that's what they originally mounted, or that's what they originally come with to mount the stuff to begin with. So I got a couple more pins, and then it's all pinned in there and bolted into the cross member and then hooked up to the cable. So I'm gonna start wiring it now, and I just gotta figure out somewhere to mount the controller. So I'm gonna start doing that now, and then I'll get back to you when I find a spot to mount that. Alright, so started wiring it. Here's what we got. I ran the wire and zip tied it to that cross member over across. We got the 2 actuators hooked up to the main wire, which runs up into the cab. Alright, I'm gonna go into the cab and run the wire and then find a spot for the controller, and we'll go from there. Alright, so here's what I think I'm going to do. So this is basically all the electronics for the truck. Got the terminator, relays for the fans. I think there's a relay for, what else are there relays for? So we got the fans for the Holley, AC shut off, and I think the other one's the IAC kick. Basically all that's for the Holley, besides the fans. This is our main power, because we still have the factory fuse panel in this, so there's not really any extra. So this is a constant 12 volts. This one up here is a switch 12 volts. Once the truck gets rewired, whenever I get a cab and do all that, this will basically be eliminated, because all the new circuits have a bunch of extra stuff in there for all the newer stuff, which is mainly all this. There's see, we got the radio, the GPS, speedo, gauges, the fan, the amplifier is on here. I think that's power for Holley, and I think that says AC. That's a power for the vintage air. So I think what I'm gonna do is, we have this nice flat panel up here. I think what I'm gonna do is get some like foam back double stick tape and just stick it up there. It's out of the way. I can get to it to adjust it if I need to, but I don't have that now, so I'm just gonna rough wire it in so we can get it adjusted and see how good it works. And then of course the button will go down here somewhere under the dash where I can reach it, and it'll be not just a button sticking out on the dash. So I'm gonna run some more wire, and we'll get this roughly and loosely wired up so we can test it out and adjust it and get it working, and then I'll finish it up at a later time. Alright, we're back. I ordered the wrong switch, so it's about a week later. I had to get one that was normally open and normally closed. I ended up ordering just a normally closed one, so that didn't work. So we got it roughly wired in. I just have the switch here because I was going to bore you guys with drilling a hole and extending wires. But we got the green on the common, blue on the forward, and yellow on the reverse is how it's wired up with the switch. The red and black are for the lights on the switch. I don't really care about those, so I'm not going to worry about them. And up here we have our ground, we have our switched power, our motor power, motor ground, and then the adjustment here. So now when you hit it, right now they're currently on, but now when I let the button go, you can hear the relay click and hear the motors releasing the brakes. And then they are pulling it tight. So let me get you guys a view underneath of what it's doing. All right, you can see our actuator right there. So right now the brakes are released, the wheels spin. I'm going to click the button now. Now they pull the cables nice and tight. The wheels don't work, or the wheels don't turn. And now we have electric parking brake. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video on a cheap electric parking brake. And my setup was for a square body C10. You could do this on any car. Just got to figure out a way to mount the actuators and hook up the cables. That's probably the hardest part. It's not really that hard to do. I'm going to link down in the description all the stuff that I use to complete this. Like I said, the only thing I have to do is mount that little chip board with the relays on it, extend my wires, and mount my switch. I'm either going to run them in where my cigarette lighter is. I think I'm going to move my Holly screen down below on a bracket that kind of flips up like that to hide it, and I can pull it down when I need to look at it. And then with these older cars, I'm really fond of running tire pressure sensors, the aftermarket ones. I have like the little display that goes in the cigarette lighter. So I think I might put the button in a extra cigarette lighter there that has the TPMS in it. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully I'll have some videos here soon on the C10. I'm starting to rip the bed apart to get it ready for the QA1 for the rear. I got one fender off, as you can see in the one view in the video. I'm going to work on taking the other fender off and getting the bed off this week. And then it's just going to be sanding the frame down because it's got like scaly surface rust on it. Knock all that off, get a nice coat of like satin black paint on it so it looks decent before I start doing the QA1. But that's going to be it. See you guys on the next one. Peace.